Vitality is the prerequisite for your free will. The war on vitality is a war for your free will and for your destiny. This is not just about health. You see, when you start talking about vitality or health, I think a lot of people think of it as like this general thing you can do to maybe prolong your life, like some longevity stuff. People don't really think about health and vitality with the reverence and importance that it actually is, because they don't understand the battlefield they're in and why it's relevant, and that's all on purpose and by design. Health isn't just about living longer in some arbitrary sense. Health is your quality of life, it's the quality of your decision making, and it's your ability to stand on business and take your own destiny into your own hands. You see, free will is at the seat of the soul, but vitality is the engine and the energy that it takes to make the hard choices. We're facing an existential crisis. Collapsing fertility, exploding diseases, and a population that's too weak, sick, and distracted to defend itself. Right now, the barbarians are at the gate. This isn't just about your health, all right? This is about agency and free will. It's about whether you can still choose your own destiny and what you do with your life. Choice sits at the seat of the soul. Free will is the divine gift that separates human from animal. The difference between us and dogs and any other animal is our awareness of our own choices. All right, so awareness and free will and all of that it's intrinsically connected. All right. So even a man under torture can choose to resist or cave in. But what does that choice require? Willpower, and willpower is fueled by vitality. Okay? The harder the choice, the more energy the soul requires to make that choice. Sometimes strong emotion can carry the load. All right? Things like protecting your family from danger, rescuing someone, standing for things that matter. You know, these kind of things that we, maybe daydream about or fantasizing about being a hero. But the real battle isn't in cinematic moments. Most of the time those things don't arise. All right, the real battle takes place in the mundane, invisible field of the everyday life. All right, it's when we're faced with subtle lies, small compromises, moments that we stay silent, the times that we have to bite our tongue, the micro decisions where we trade truth for comfort. All right, where there's so many people that are indoctrinated and just spruiking off about these really sick, degenerate ideas that are pervading our culture that we just tolerate and listen to because we're told that, and we're taught, from in school, to basically just bite our tongue, and that it's not worth it. And pick your battles. But we never really choose to engage in the battles that matter, because we keep passing up these small battles, thinking because we're conditioned to be tolerant to no end. All right, these tiny choices, these tiny battles accumulate, and before you know it, you're surrounded by people that think pedophilia is okay and that it's minor attracted people, people that think that there's no such thing as a man and a woman, and you can start chopping off your bits and pieces. People that think that there's nothing worth keeping in our day in life and culture, and that every person in the Western world should be able to come in the third world should be able to come into the Western world and do whatever they want. And you start getting cognitive dissonance, thinking that bad things don't happen at the hands of these foreigners. That's just a few examples, all right? There's a lot of things we're faced with right now. These little battles are the ones that actually matter, and we don't have the energy to fight them. We're both conditioned against fighting them. We're told to just leave it, all right, and just suck it up. And that happens in school when we're growing up, that happens in the workplace, and that happens at home when men are scared of their wives, all right? And then before you know it, you have a guy that can't stand for anything. This is where sovereignty is won or lost. This is exactly where governments, corporations, institutional priesthoods operate. The elites, media, school, HR departments, universities, and even your own neighborly thought police. This is exactly where they want you, and this is the tools that they're using. Most people are the useful idiots that are actually policing this stuff, but these are very, very carefully crafted thought viruses and mind viruses that are now pervading our culture and have opened the doors to the barbarians. And the victims will be all of us, basically. They slip this into your worldview and it gets shaped without you even noticing. Okay? Low vitality makes a person incapable of fighting for the things that matter, especially on the small battles that aren't seemingly heroic. You know, when you're arguing with a Karen or a family member about, a gender reassignment surgery. Right, when the body is exhausted and the biology is wrecked, the mind caves. And the mind already has enough crap we have to deal with, okay? It's already hard enough as it is breaking out of the mental conditioning we've been given. But when the body is wrecked on top of that and the biology is flat, what hope do we have? Okay, here's the biological reality of things. Low thyroid slows your thinking, makes you fat. High cortisol forces fear-driven choices. And everything that the media presents to us is in a state of fear, right? Fear is the currency that the elites use for change. Systemic inflammation produces brain fog. We literally can't think clearly. We're gobbling down seed oils and just inflamed to hell, and it probably lowers our IQ by 20 points temporarily. All right? Low testosterone drives passivity, avoidance, and apathy. See, testosterone has a big, strong relationship with the amygdala, our fight, flight, fear response. All right, so low testosterone means avoidant behavior. Higher testosterone means that we can actually stand for things and take risks. If you've got low testosterone, you just can't take risks in life. All right, and you can't stand for anything that matters. All right, a damaged mitochondria destroys your mental and physical stamina. Okay, so all of these toxins like the glyphosates, just chronically poor eating, bad sleep, even EMFs, these things that destroy the mitochondria, it just kills our backbone. Oh, it's coming at us from every angle, really. There's not a thing they haven't touched. There's not a thing that's not affected by it. We're not living in the same world as our grandparents, and we're not fighting the same fight that they fought. All right? You can't resist in this state of toxicity. And the environment that weakens us is the same one that comforts us as well. Artificial flavors, dopamine-saturated media, addictive food, synthetic pleasures, comforting toxins that kill us slowly. This is not an accident. All right? The population is hooked on a simulation. All right? And it's not going to fight for anything. Compliance feels good. Comfort feels safe, and the cabal, the elites that are in charge of this know that. If you were a farmer trying to control your cattle, what would you do to the males? You'd castrate them. You'd turn them into steers because they're easier to steer in whatever direction. Our society is being run the same way. We are being castrated chemically, socially, and spiritually. Because the alternative, the natural state, is a man who is vital, free-thinking, sharp, and aligned with the will of God. All right? A man that will stand for things that do not align with the will of God. A man that will not tolerate everything. A man that does not have this suicidal empathy disease. High vitality creates a different kind of human. One that is sovereign, assertive, clear-minded, resistant to manipulation, future-oriented, all right? One that is thinking ahead within seasons and generations of his family. One that is capable, at the end of the day, of saying no, which is the foundation of free will. If you can't say no, you are not free. That is precisely the type of man that modern civilization is designed to suppress and destroy before he has even risen to anything. This happens very young. All right, these formula-fed babies, you get straight out of the box and you're fed this toxic poison that is so far from the basic providence of God. You know, the basic foods that we are given by God are the things that will make us strong and healthy. All right, this is not complicated, but we are inundated with it. The path forward is simple. If you reclaim your vitality in the body, you reclaim your free will, you reclaim your destiny. Okay, you cannot outsource this battle. Okay, you cannot wait for permission. This will not fix itself. You cannot tolerate an endless stream of insults and assaults on your values, your culture, your children, identity, sovereignty, your life, and your future. You must start fighting back on the small battlefields. The moment someone pushes degeneracy, you hear people talking about these things, they happen in schools. What is a man if not someone who can protect the innocent? The moment someone mocks fatherhood or family values, you know, you might hear even a cashier just drop some snide comment about how men are dumb or useless. And it's like, it's meant to be this funny little joke. Men are all shit. All right, you got to start pushing back on that shit. It's bullshit. All right? The moment someone repeats the talking points of this ideological death cult, okay, these antenatal agendas that say that, you know, you shouldn't have kids to protect the environment. Okay, that's a carefully constructed death cult ideology mind virus, and you've got to push back on it. The moment someone tries to police your thoughts or speech, says something like, "Oh, we don't say that anymore. We can't say that anymore, actually," and they just try to re-educate you. All right, that's where you got to push back. That's where you got to give them a little schmack, not literally, but verbally. You know, you push back. You have free speech. You know, you got to push back at the people trying to encroach on your ability to think freely and speak freely, and put you into these little boxes and just have little micro snips at you. All right, the small things are the big things here, because they accumulate. You get compound interest on the choices that you make consistently. Most people spreading these ideas aren't evil, but they're captured. They were programmed by the same machine that is poisoning the Western mind. You can be the man that disrupts that program. All right, you can be the man that stands on business, stands in truth, stands in the full power of your God-given free will. Because without vitality, you cannot choose. And if you cannot choose, you are not free. And if you are not free to choose, then that will be chosen for you. And that world might not be a world you want to live in. Take a look around. What is it turning into? Take back your choice. Take back your vitality. Have some kids. Have a family. And stop tolerating shit.